Imagine walking through a forest 50,000 years ago. You are hunting. You have a spear. You have fire. You have language. You think you are the only kind of human that has ever existed. And then, through the trees, you see something that stops you completely. It walks on two legs. It has hands like yours. It has eyes like yours. But it is not you. Its forehead is different. Its body is different. Its face is different. And it is staring back at you with the same confusion you feel right now. This was not a movie. This was not a myth. This actually happened. For most of history, humans assumed we were always alone, the only thinking, talking, tool-making creature on the planet. But science has now proven something that changes everything we thought we knew about ourselves. For tens of thousands of years, we were not alone. Not even close. Let's go back to the beginning, because this story starts much earlier than most people realize. Around 300,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens, appeared in Africa. But we were not the first humans. Not even close. Long before us, other human species had already spread across the planet. Homo erectus had been walking the earth for nearly 2 million years. Homo heidelbergensis had already spread across Europe and Africa. The Neanderthals had been living in Europe and Asia for over 400,000 years, surviving ice ages, hunting massive animals, and burying their dead. And in a remote cave in Siberia, a group of humans so mysterious we still barely understand them left behind only a single finger bone and a few teeth. We call them the Denisovans. We have never seen their face. We do not know what they looked like. But we know they existed, because their DNA is still inside some of us right now. Now, here is the question that should genuinely disturb you. What happened when these different human species finally met each other? For a long time, scientists assumed the answer was simple. Violence. Homo sapiens arrived. Neanderthals disappeared. We killed them. End of story. But then DNA changed everything. In 2010, a geneticist named Svante Pääbo did something that had never been done before. He sequenced the Neanderthal genome from ancient bones. And what he found shocked the entire scientific world. If you are of European or Asian descent, between 1 and 4% of your DNA is Neanderthal. Not a little. Not a trace. A measurable, significant portion of you is a different human species. That is not what happens after a genocide. That is what happens after something far more complicated, something more human. So what actually happened when they met? The honest answer is, we don't fully know. But the evidence is painting a picture that is stranger and more fascinating than anyone expected. Neanderthals were not the slow, stupid, grunting creatures that old paintings showed. Modern science has completely destroyed that image. Neanderthals made jewelry. They used pigments to paint their bodies and possibly cave walls. They buried their dead, sometimes with flowers placed carefully around the body. They made musical instruments. They cared for their injured. Archaeologists have found Neanderthal skeletons with healed broken bones, meaning other Neanderthals fed and protected them for weeks or months while they recovered. Sound familiar? Neanderthals had larger brains than modern humans. They had been surviving European ice ages for hundreds of thousands of years before we arrived. They knew things we didn't. They had adaptations we didn't. And when Homo sapiens walked into their world for the first time, something happened between these two species that left a permanent mark inside the human genome. They met. They lived near each other. And sometimes they had children together. But the story is not just romantic. It is also brutal. Because within roughly 5,000 to 10,000 years of modern humans arriving in Europe, Neanderthals were gone. 5,000 years sounds like a long time, but in evolutionary terms, it is almost nothing. One day, Neanderthals were everywhere across Europe and Asia, and then they simply weren't. What happened? Several things, probably all at once. Homo sapiens had something Neanderthals didn't: a communication advantage. Our language was likely more complex. We could coordinate larger groups. We could share information across longer distances. We could plan further into the future. We also brought diseases. Just like when Europeans arrived in the Americas thousands of years later and introduced illnesses that devastated populations with no immunity, modern humans may have carried pathogens that Neanderthals had never encountered. Their immune systems had no defense, and we competed for the same resources, the same animals, the same caves, the same river valleys. Neanderthal populations were already small and spread thin across a harsh landscape. Homo sapiens were expanding fast, in larger groups with better long-range communication and trade networks. It didn't take war. It may not have even taken violence. Just competition. Just pressure. just slowly being outsurvived in the margins, generation after generation, until there were none left. And the Denisovans? We know even less about them. But what we do know is extraordinary. People living in Tibet today carry a Denisovan gene variant that allows them to survive at extreme high altitudes, thin air, brutal cold, oxygen levels that would incapacitate most humans. That gene did not evolve in Homo sapiens. It came from the Denisovans. We absorbed it by interbreeding, and it helped us survive environments we could not have conquered alone. Aboriginal Australians carry the highest levels of Denisovan DNA of any modern population, up to 6%, which means somewhere in Southeast Asia or the Pacific, modern humans and Denisovans met and mixed for thousands of years before Denisovans too disappeared. We don't just carry their genes, we carry their survival toolkit, their cold weather adaptations, their high altitude biology, pieces of extinct human species living on inside us, helping us thrive in places they once called home. There is something quietly devastating about all of this. Somewhere in southern Europe or Western Asia, there was a last Neanderthal, the final one, standing alone or maybe in a small group, not knowing they were the last, not knowing their kind had walked this planet for 400,000 years and was now ending. We don't know if they died slowly or quickly. We don't know if they saw Homo sapiens nearby. We don't know if there was violence or sickness or simply silence. What we know is that they disappeared, and we did not, and yet they are not completely gone. Every time a person of European or Asian descent looks in the mirror, there are traces of Neanderthal in that face. Certain immune genes, certain hair follicle shapes, certain pain sensitivity patterns, certain sleep cycle tendencies, all inherited from a species that went extinct 40,000 years ago. We didn't just survive alongside them, we absorbed them. Pieces of their biology live on inside the species that outlasted them, carried forward into a world they never saw. So what actually happened when two different human species met? Everything. Violence and tenderness. Competition and cooperation. Fear and curiosity. Children that were both and neither. A slow disappearance and a quiet survival inside the DNA of the species that remained. We were not always alone on this planet. And in a very real sense, we are still not. Because somewhere inside you, there is a gene that helped a Denisovan survive a high mountain winter. There is an immune response shaped by a Neanderthal ancestor. There are fragments of minds and bodies and lives that existed long before history began. They are gone. But they are not entirely gone. They are in you.